Welcome back, everyone, to part 4 of How's Your Plumbing. And today's show is called The Drill Bit Predator, okay? So, did you know that your intestines only have one cell layer thick? That's right, one cell layer thick. This is one cell layer that prevents what shouldn't be absorbed into your bloodstream and allows what should be absorbed into your bloodstream. Okay, here's the problem. The problem with today's society is that 85%, and I'm telling you 85%, no lower, 85% of the population are suffering from autoimmune disease. Did you know you can't have autoimmune disease unless you have a dysfunctional lining in your digestive tract? And remember, one cell layer thick. I mean, it does replenish itself, but guess what? When it goes, so do you. Okay? So 85% of the population are suffering from autoimmune disease. Otherwise, inflammation of the intestinal lining. And what did I tell you earlier? I told you that we're an inflammation nation. I told you that most of all the systems out there, corporations, they help to teach you and download programs so that you will inflame yourself. Oh yeah. Listen, when you finally wake up, you'll find out how much you've actually been asleep at the wheel. All right. And they're really hoping that you stay there. Okay. So understand, this one layer thick is being repaired and replaced on a continual basis, almost on a daily basis. And this is the problem. Just like where water is dripping, let's say, into a glass, it's noticeable, but it's not a problem until it starts to overflow the glass. So guess what? Today, that's not a problem. That one drip left to go weeks and months will actually flood your home. Oh, yes. So today you're fine, but tomorrow you broke the camel's back. All right? That cell wall can no longer be replaced after it's been burnt out a few thousand times. And guess what? That's what we're doing every day. Okay? Look. It's like this. You know, when you start getting those little symptoms of, oh, I feel gas in my tummy, a little bit of heartburn, okay, a little pressure on your chest, okay, a little bit of low back pain, a little bit of fogginess that you can't think properly, you feel you're not digesting, you feel a little constipated. All of these are symptoms that you're burning out that one cell layer thick in your digestive tract. Now understand something. Remember, heart attack always starts off as angina. Oh yeah, it does. It does. But guess what? You don't even recognize it because you haven't been programmed to be the master of your body, to be the master of your life. You know, you just gave all your power away to people like me and medical doctors. Now, who would do that? I mean, you don't even want somebody looking after your car, okay, unless they're a great mechanic, right? And if you're not who's going to clean out your car? Is the mechanic going to do it? No, he's not. Who's going to clean out your body? Who's going to look after the body and the little symptoms of your body? Definitely not me, because I only might talk to you a few minutes a week, a few minutes a month, and then your medical doctor, you're in and out. So understand, angina will always go to a heart attack. Hypoglycemia can go to diabetes. Hemorrhoids can go to colon cancer. I'm not making this up. I'm not exaggerating this. Okay, so let's go. So what is one of the main reasons and the main things that will cause and turn on these drill bit predators? And what do I mean by drill bit predators? I'm talking about predators that you actually create by vibrating too low that turn these things on. You know, does a healthy vitality person have worms, fungus, bad bacteria, and viruses? Well, if they do, their body can handle it and throw it off. Does a sick person have them and it'll take them down? Absolutely. You have to vibrate at a low level to get all these low-level parasites in your body. Okay? Understand something. When you go from vitality to low vitality, then that's when you wake up these things. Antibiotics, come on. Antibiotics don't have a zero frequency. It's below zero. So if we were to take a look at fresh and raw foods, we would say the vibratory level of fresh and raw food would be 10. Steamed food might be 8. Boiled vegetables might be 6. A donut would be actually 0. Antibiotics are below 0. So when you take antibiotics, what do? You're actually taking your good bacteria, making them bad. Okay, you're actually taking the yeast in your body and turning it into candida fungus. And those are the main drill predators. I mean, bad bacteria will also eat away and cause ulcers, won't it? Absolutely. Where do you think ulcers come from? Okay, we know that parasites will dig and burrow holes into your intestine where they hide out. That's why if you ever get a fecal check to see if you got parasites and a medical doctor goes, nope, you're clean, he doesn't know what he's talking about because they're unreliable. Those parasite checks are unreliable. So now the biggest problem is the fungus, right? Because candida fungus should not be turned on. When does fungus get turned on? Well, fungus should be turned on when you are dying or dead, because what is their job? Their job is to eat holes in you and return you back to the earth from which you came. So antibiotics have a frequency below 0, and that frequency will unleash candida fungus, which should only be turned on at this rate when you're dying or dead. Look, let me give you an example. A fallen tree. So the tree falls down. Well, there's still some life in it. But after a while, it loses its life because the roots, right? It's out of the ground. And guess what? It becomes what we call a log. That log, guess what happens? Well, fungus takes over, doesn't it? And it eats holes in it. Have you never seen all the holes? The older the log, the more holes it has, because different types of parasites feed off of that to return that log back to the earth. That's what's happening to you. You've unleashed the drill bit predator that is returning you from which you came, but way too early. You turned on these death predators, and they're coming in and they're eating away your body. They're eating away your digestive tract, small intestine and your large intestine, and they're putting holes through it like a screen door in a submarine. How's that going to work out? Pretty good? I'd say not. So understand something. There's other situations, not just antibiotics. But what about dairy? We already know that dairy is one of the most inflammatory products that you can ingest. We already know that dairy is one of the biggest causes for autoimmune disease and, yes, cancer of all the foods. We also know that dairy has the same addictive pattern as heroin on the brain. Why do you think you crave cheese? Oh, you know what? When's the last time you craved a salad? I just got to have a salad. Well, understand something. The only reason why we drink cow's milk is because man said, hey, what has the biggest udders out there? So then he said, wow, it's a cow. Well, there you go. There's a moneymaker, right? But understand something. Cow's milk, even if it's organic, even if you stroke and massage your cow every day with love, the dairy is 20 times larger than mother's milk. Everybody has an autoimmune disease to it. You may not feel it like other people, but guess what? It's going to catch up with you. Okay? Listen to me. You don't even know how programmed you are. You are so programmed that you'll actually take antibiotics for situations. See, antibiotics should not be taken unless you have a life-threatening situation, or they're going to cause a life-threatening situation. Do you really think about what you think about? Do you really think about the decisions you make? And are you really the master of your decisions? Or are you just being programmed to told where to go and what to do? That's a really important question you should ask yourself. And the other one is this. Here's one for you.
So, what do you want?
So, if you want a radical change in your life, then you better make a radical change in your day, a radical change in your personality and in your behavior. And then gluten. There was a time when we could eat gluten. I can't eat dairy. It'll tear me apart. I can't eat gluten. It'll tear me apart too. And I know why, because I was a sugar junkie when I was younger. Okay. And then alcohol, that's just like throwing gas onto the fire. Listen, just because people eat and drink dairy, just because they eat and take in gluten, just because people drink alcohol almost every week doesn't make it right. It just means, guess what? That we are robotically conditioned. That's all that means. Oh, I know, you have to drink the alcohol to have fun because it helps you loosen up. Well, what about deep breathing? What about loving, honoring, and respecting yourself? You know what? The day that I really got to know the authentic Daryl, the real Daryl, I didn't need alcohol. I can be just as much or more fun at any party than the guy who's pounding back the alcohol. And I don't have to pay twice, do I? So again, remember something. The other one is sugar, right? Sugar is 10 times more addictive than cocaine. Wow. That's got to be good for you. You know, you've got to cut the sugar out. You cannot bring this stuff home. Make your home a health-free zone. Make it a love-free zone, okay? And prescription drugs, they all have low vibration. They are the same as antibiotics. They may not be as dangerous, some of them, but they're all destroying your gut lining. All of them. So then what do we call this? What we get from these drill bit predators and from these toxic things we take in? We call it leaky gut. And just remember something. We call it malabsorption syndrome. Oh, there's another one. Metabolic syndrome. Well, how about candida overgrowth? There's another one. How about systemic candida? How about this? Crohn's disease. That's where in your small intestine you have so much inflammation that you've got all these holes in there. Your body's replacing it with scar tissue. And then we call that lead pipe disease because it's just one tough beef jerky. How's that? So now you're not absorbing the nutrition you should be anymore. Oh, well, let's just cut that part of your bowel out. Your intestine out. Go to a surgeon, he's going to want to cut it out. Go to a medical doctor, he's going to want to give you drugs. So go to the medical doctor, you're going to get drugs first, and then you get to get it cut out later. And guess what? They're going to keep an eye on it for you. What, do they live behind the toilet? The only person that's going to take control back is you. What about celiac disease? Gluten intolerance, okay? So you know you shouldn't eat it. It makes you feel bad, but you keep on doing it because somebody puts it on the table in the house that doesn't have that gluten intolerance you do, but you have not enough love, honor, and respect for yourself to say no. How many times does somebody go to somebody's house and eat a product? They know they're going to be sick, but they don't stand up for themselves because they need everybody's approval. Well, guess what? A long time ago, I decided I didn't need anybody's approval, and I'm not going to take anything personal, but I am going to feed my body the way I need to feel it because I need to be with me. And I'm with me more than I am with you. So I'm going to come first in my decision making. And then what about SIBO? Small intestine bacterial overgrowth. But it's not. SIBO, that's the wrong name. It should be called small intestine bowel overgrowth, because what happens is you get backed up in your bowel and your ileocecal valve doesn't shut, and the worms and the fungus and the parasites and the bad bacteria and the poop get to come through the valve into the small intestine and infect you there. When we don't want anything that goes into the large intestine coming back, that's a definite no-no. So guess what happens when you don't look after your large intestine and you back up? Hey, let me tell you something. Just because there's traffic coming into my city doesn't mean it's not backed up for 100 miles. Did you get that? And understand, when you blow out the valve and you've got so much poop backed up in your cecum and it won't close because all this gas won't allow the door to close, the valve to close, then guess what? You've got no border patrol. Anybody can go back and forth, and I'll tell you, you are in for living, you know what. So, lactose intolerance, okay, causes allergies, right? But there is no such thing as allergies. There's such thing as inflammation, contamination, infection. And your body is incapable of digesting something, it becomes an allergy. Just like when your body becomes incapable, because you're incapable of digesting or processing negative emotions, they'll actually cause allergies too. They'll cause certain diseases. Certain dysfunctional emotions will cause certain types of symptoms and diseases in your body in certain places. Oh yeah, what you think matters. And then colitis. Well, colitis is in the large intestine. And my gosh, Ellie, what does it really stand for, colitis? Inflammation of the colon. Oh my God, I've got colitis. Oh my God, I can't believe it. The doctor said I've got colitis. Why don't you just look it up? Inflammation of the colon. That's not a big deal. Why don't you just get the poop out, okay? And then take things that will ease and soothe the lining, saying, I love you. I love you. I'm going to stop irritating you. I'm going to stop inflaming you. I'm going to stop having these drill bit predators eat holes through you. So, how do you know if your good bacteria have gone bad? Here are some of the common signs and symptoms. First of all, skin and nail fungal infections such as athlete's foot, ringworm, and toenail fungus. Now, you can believe this or not believe this, but guess what? Toenail fungus is a pre-cancer state. And I've had people call me up and go, you have no right to say that. You know why I have no right to say it? Because that person has toenail fungus. Well, they don't have toenail fungus because their socks were damp, because I could wear damp socks forever and I'm not going to get that, okay? Here's the deal. The only reason why you get toenail fungus is because all those drill bit predators have now drilled holes through you. They're now in your bloodstream, and they're now going throughout the body. If you've got toenail fungus, you've got toenail fungus from your toes to your nose. You're full of it, okay? So feeling tired and worn down or suffering from chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, chronic pain, and muscle weakness, this is all these drill bit predators. Digestive issues such as gas, bloating, heartburn, acid reflux, constipation, diarrhea, IBS, which IBS is just, I love this, you've got IBS. Well, that means irritable bowel syndrome. So you've been irritating your bowel and you didn't know that you were. So now you have this IBS, which you think is a disease. There are no diseases, just symptoms of someone that doesn't know that they're sleeping at the wheel. What about ear, nose, and throat infections? Hey, come on. The ear is a cave. You ever go into a cave? You'll see all kinds of fungus. The nose, come on. It's a cave. It's moist. So you don't have the right pH. You don't have the right frequency, the right vibration in your body. Where are you going to grow fungus? But there. Throat infections, well, that's a reflex to your cecum and large intestine that you have too much fungus. You heard what I said. Oral thrush, well, that's where it looks like that thick, hairy tongue. What do you think that is? That's fungus. All right. Okay. Hashimoto's diseases. Autoimmune diseases such as Hashimoto's, thyroiditis, rheumatoid arthritis, ulcerative colitis, lupus, okay? Eczema, psoriasis. But you're going to love this. I just love this part, right? So it starts off with an itch, then a rash, then eczema, and then psoriasis, and then scleroderma, and then it can keep going. So it started off, and it's all just the same thing, except you left it. You let it go. Okay, you got a fibroid. Okay, then which did you know we call everything a tumor? A fibroid is also called a tumor. So when a doctor goes, you've got a tumor. Well, understand something. Most tumors are benign, so don't freak out. Most tumors are calcium that's been displaced, crystallization, scar tissue. So we can pull it apart. We can even work on a tumor that is cancerous. Yeah, you heard what I said. And the reality is this. Don't panic. Don't freak out. Okay, this is why the most dangerous thing is to get cancer in a family that doesn't know themselves, doesn't know their true authentic selves, because everybody freaks out and they become the cancer for that person. It's the same thing with anything. You know, did you ever notice everything? That almost all diseases are in Greek, or you can't understand them. Psoriasis, which first you got like a rash, then it goes to eczema, And then it goes to psoriasis. And all of these are just a fungal condition that's being unchecked, and it just gets worse, because eczema is where you get scabbing thin, and then psoriasis is where it gets thicker because you haven't done anything. All right, let's move on. So then you've got migraine headaches, you've got dizziness, you've got mental disorders such as autism. I mean, all of this is perpetuated even worse and worse from these drill bit predators, okay? You have difficulty concentrating, poor memory, lack of focus, ADD, ADHD, which I believe they don't even exist. I believe that these parasites that drain you of everything, and you got to understand, worms, bad bacteria, and fungus, what do? They throw up inside of you. They poop inside of you. And that's the poison, okay? OCD, brain fog, irritability, mood swings, anxiety, and depression. It's all going to come from here. But go ahead. Go get a drug. Tell your body to shut the heck up, okay? What happens if you told your wife to do that, your children to do that? After a while, I think you'd have a dysfunctional relationship. So what I'd like to say is we know that 85-90% of the population have a totally dysfunctional relationship, because instead of divorce, your body gives you a disease, which is the same thing, right? So if you're not going to learn how to get a good relationship with yourself, and loving yourself, you're not going to have a good relationship with your body or anybody else either, okay? So then you can get vaginal infections. Well, of course, it's a cave. And also, remember, we talked about the large bowel. So guess what? The fungus eats through the small and large intestine. And where's it going to go? It's going to go into what? We call it the pelvis, but for a lot of people, it's now called Death Valley. Okay, so then you get urinary tract infections. Well, why wouldn't you? It's now in your bloodstream. Your liver tries to filter it. It gets overloaded, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and now it gets thrown off to the kidneys. And then it gets thrown off to the skin with the skin conditions. Yeah, you can see where we're going. Rectal itching, worms and fungus, or vaginal itching, same thing. Low sex drive, severe seasonal allergies or itchy ears. Well, I get this every time this season. So that means that when there's a temperature change or a humidity change, that's enough to knock you down. What does that say about your health? Craving sugar, alcohol, refined carbohydrates? Come on, guys. How about this one? It's about 9 o'clock at night. Well, and I go, hey, honey, I'm feeling kind of snacky. What about you? What comes out? Not fresh and raw. Taco chips, ice cream, chocolate, popcorn. And guess why? Because at around 9 o'clock at night, guess who wakes up? You got it. Let me tell you something. Parasites, fungus, bad bacteria. What are they? They're parasites. Do you ever watch vampire movies? When do they come out? They come out at night. Whether you want to believe it, they get more active at night. And these little fungus guys are going, hey, come on, we need some fuel down here. We're ready to make love. We're ready to party down and make new babies. Come on, give us some food. And then you're like, hey, honey, I'm kind of feeling kind of snacky. So you think you're in charge, eh? Okay, well, that's over. Trust me, you've already been ruled, schooled, and fooled. All right? All right. So even with I need to have a glass of wine every night. All that high sugar. And I'll tell you something, wine's putrid. Do your homework. It's not healthy like they say, okay? Beer is beyond awful. Okay, that's toilet water for me. Anyways, let's go. And I'm not saying I've never had a beer. I'm not saying I'll never have one again. But if you have a beer every day, okay, believe it or not, one beer every day, one glass of wine every day is enough to give you a disease and a condition that can actually take you down and shorten your life. You heard what I said. Okay? Oh, it's okay to have one drink a day. It's okay to just pound in that sugar and that ferment. We don't need any more of that stuff. So last but not least, the big one is vitamin and mineral deficiencies, because all of these guys will block your nutrients from getting into the cells, and they will steal as much of the nutrients as they can. Because remember something, drill bit predators, parasites, and bad bacteria, they love, okay, an overripe body. And that's one that's rotten to the core, okay? So your digestive tract is either the highway to hell or the highway to your health and vitality. The good news is this can all be reversed, guys, Okay. Check out yesterday's part 3 of How's Your Plumbing. Okay. If you haven't watched it, please. There's 1, 2, and 3. This is part 4. Please try to stay with us. I'm going to do 33 days because it's called the 33-day awakening. Okay. How's your plumbing? That's what it's about. All right. Okay. All right. So for suggested products, please go to part 3 because I don't want to mention products every time what you should be taking, because this is about educating you, not selling you. I want to sell you on you, that you are the most beautiful, amazing thing that was ever created. And I want you to love and cherish you. Hey, I got one for you. I'd like to see you for one day love you more than you've loved anyone else in your life before. One day. I bet you can't go for 1 hour, okay? Tell me that you're not running any hate programs against yourself, and I'll tell you that you are if you're making decisions to do any of these things we just talked about with disregard, because you're disregarding yourself, you're disrespecting yourself, you're dishonoring yourself, and you're going to go, what the heck's he talking about? Well, I'm going to talk about that you're part of the majority, and the majority's going down, and they're going down fast, okay? All right, so what I'd like you to do is go to docofdetoxlibrary.com and go there and read The Perfect Day and The Braveheart Way, and also watch the videos that come with it. And then I would like you to challenge me. Oh, please challenge me. Because if you're challenging me and questioning me and investigating all of this, then I know that you really care about yourself. And understand something. I know I have to earn your trust. I have to earn everybody's trust, because I'm going to tell you something. You can't trust out there. You can't trust the systems anymore. They've all been bought and paid for a long time ago. So you better watch your system, your nervous system, your digestive system, your arterial system, okay? Your lymph system. Those are the systems that you need to really get involved with, because that's all about you. This is your vehicle, okay? So remember, become number 1 in the business of number 2 when you learn to love and honor you. God bless.